I'm gaining, then again I'm losing. Sometimes I'm rising, yes, sir. Then again I'm falling. Sometimes I'm gaining, then again I'm losing. Sometimes I'm rising, yes, sir. Then again I'm falling. Let Jesus work it out. Please, your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Please, your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Please, your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Oh, work it out. You work it out for Mother Lisa. Sometimes I'm gaining, then again I'm losing. Sometimes I'm rising, yes, sir. Then again I'm falling. Sometimes I'm gaining, then again I'm losing. Sometimes I'm rising, yes, sir. Then again I'm falling. Let Jesus work it out. Please, your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Please, your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Please, your Father would work it out. Oh, let God work it out. Oh, work it out. You work it out for Mother Lisa.
All right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. David Patrick Carey with Church of the Eternal Logos, and I am joined by friend, fellow Orthodox Christian, naturopathic doctor, Dr. Michael Moeller. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing awesome. I already kind of told you we had the Evron merge streaming icon here. We had a clergy
that was
conference.
yesterday?
Yeah, it was here for a couple of days, actually. His father Nectarius from Hawaii came to the clergy conference, obviously. So, yeah, quick couple of days in, couple of days out, and I think we're gonna have it again in December. So we're spoiled over here. Gives you all excuses to come up to Boise, Idaho.
Absolutely. Well, I've heard nothing but good things about Boise. So today we're actually going to be diving into peptides, steroids, men's hormones. We've kind of hit on peptides. We haven't done like a full discussion on it. And for anybody watching this, this live stream is actually joined with a private Q&A that's going to be following with Dr. Michael Moeller if you're a member over at the Logos Academy, we do private Q&As with various people. We just did one with Father Gabriel. What was that? The beginning of October. So a lot of theological questions. People had a lot of questions about Israel. So we dove into a lot of controversial areas, and that's the point, is that the men over at the Logos Academy can get a unique private access to some of the guests that come on the show, but guests that will join us in the academy. And today, Dr. Mo is actually going to be joining us for, essentially, you're getting a free private consultation. I mean, what do you charge? $250, $350 for a 30-minute consultation?
Yeah, I practice nepotism, forgive me. So I usually tell guys, I don't like money being an issue, but yeah, my normal rate's $395 for the hour, $245 for the half an hour. And, I'm outside the insurance system, unfortunately. So I can't bill insurance. There's ways, but it's super complicated. And then you're not practicing medicine. You're just doing what the insurance company tells you. So yeah, my jam, right, is hormone optimization and just getting guys as young as in their teens upwards to 50s, 60s. One guy's in his 80s. So not medical advice today, though, right? I'm happy to give out, this is what I would do in your circumstance.
Right, exactly. So if you guys are interested, again, if you actually have your blood work done, or you want to learn more about TRT, or you want to have specific questions for Dr. Mo, go and sign up over at the Logos Academy. Again, it's a men's only academy for philosophy, theology, masculine development, fitness, health. And so that's where this is going to lead to. So we're only going to be live today for maybe an hour, maybe an hour and a half at the absolute most. So it's going to be a pretty jam-packed stream. So if you guys have questions on this free side, the live stream, feel free to throw those in, and we'll knock out any questions that people have. But to begin this stream, we're going to be talking about peptides. And I just started a cycle of BPC 157. And if anybody's interested, actually, Dr. Mo got me hooked up with a company called Level Up Health. Do you want to kind of introduce Level Up Health and why they have quality supplements?
Yeah, so a couple of different things. Sorry, show alert, guys. It is what it is. And honestly, it helps the channel out when you help us out. So if you like the content, it's a win-win. I got into peptides, 2015, 2016, learning about them. And it's funny, the owner and I have chatted multiple times. I did a deep dive podcast with him about 6 months ago, Kyle. And it's tough to find good stuff that has good manufacturing practices and certificate of analysis. So I trust his stuff. I use that website. I use another website called Full Script for my supplements, but I think the stat is something like 70 to 80% of the supplements on Amazon are bunk. Right. Look, I can like, you know what, DPH or Patrick, sorry, we could whatever. We could go and buy this stuff. If you can get it at wholesale, dump it out and throw it full of rice powder and cut the price in half.
Right.
So you have to be vigilant, and I get it. Like, they're going to be more expensive than other places, but I'm not 20 anymore. Like, I'm done ordering stuff off of sketchy websites and whatnot. Most of the peptides are super safe. Don't get me wrong. But I know the owner. I've worked with the owner. We podcasted, and I just trust their stuff. I take it personally myself. I'm not going to put anything in I'm that way. Even we can chat about injectables at some point. But I'm not ever telling my patients to do anything I wouldn't do. And I'm pretty vigilant about, okay, what am I putting in my body? So right. I like their stuff. I take their stuff. I got, tons of different things we can kind of chat about today. I've been taking it for probably over a year now. And I've worked with other companies too. So, and he's good. He gives a nice kickback. Like, he gives a discount if you use
15% if you use promo code COTEL, COTEL, same as Orthodox Depot, same as Gumroad for Seraphim's fasting book and how to maintain your gains. Use promo code COTEL, COTEL. And they're a bit more expensive. That was my first comment to Michael. I was asking him because I was interested in BPC 157. So anybody who's just now hearing about peptides, we're going to get into what exactly they are and how they work. But we were talking, actually, it was brought up more recently in one of the Logos Academy meetings, the think tanks, is that shout out to Newbie. He knows who he is. He's one of the members over at the Logos Academy, and he's top 10 in the world strongman competitor, Orthodox Christian. And so he had recently had an injury in his knee, and he's going to have, I think it was a meniscus tear. I'm not positive, but it was some type of tear in his knee. And he was wanting to get on BPC 157 to aid the recovery process. And so that led into a conversation about peptides and what peptides are and which peptides people were using. And BPC 157 kept coming up. And don't confuse it with the product over here, Wolverine, but BPC 157 does have a sort of street name as the Wolverine drug because it helps you recover. So I just started this Monday. This came in. So basically 4 to 5 days. I've been taking BPC 157, and I have noticed I've been having a ailing tendon muscle problem in my left forearm. It's tied with a little bit of golf, a lot of working out. And I've noticed that actually just kind of loosening up. I can feel my left hand, my grip strength kind of return. It feels a little bit stronger. So I don't know if one of the questions I'm going to ask Dr. Mo here is, how long does it actually take? Is this a placebo effect that I'm having? How long does it actually take for it to begin working? So if you guys are interested, if you're serious about your health and you want to start getting into some of these peptides, I highly recommend this website. Use promo code COTEL, get 15% off, but the quality is guaranteed. That's one of the reasons why you're paying so much, is that these are very high quality products. But can you speak a little bit about BPC 157, or maybe let's begin with peptides in general. What are peptides? And let's begin with the premise of today's stream. Are peptides the new steroids? Because that is one of the conversations we got into, is actually in one of our fitness meetings talking about peptides, because Newbie, who competes in World Strongman, he was talking about how they get tested for peptides. And so the debate raged then in the think tank, do peptides make you non-natural, meaning, everybody knows if you take gear or you're natty, that's the famous question in bodybuilding at the gym. And so for him, he didn't make a strong decision on whether he's natty or not if you took peptides. He is natural, and so he's never taken anything because of the testing for his competitions. And so that led to people saying, well, is peptide just kind of the new steroids? They're not as regulated as some of the other drugs. And so there's kind of like this window right now that they exist within. What are peptides, Dr. Mo? And are they the new steroids?
Yeah. I mean, no, they're not.
Exactly.
It depends on what you're kind of looking for. And usually the quick and dirty is like, right, you have a protein is made of amino acids. So the famous one people are familiar with is, the old saying, hey, I had turkey at Thanksgiving dinner and I was tired afterwards. Right. And when you eat meat is made of amino acids, and turkey has lots of tryptophan in it. Tryptophan turns into serotonin, and serotonin turns into melatonin. Tyrosine is another amino acid, and it turns into L-dopa, dopamine, epinephrine. So in order for your body to make the happy hormone dopamine, you have to consume some tyrosine. It's an essential amino acid. If phenylalanine turns into tyrosine, that's a whole other biochemistry kind of angle. But the reason that these amino acids are essential is because we can't make them, right? Like fat can turn into sugar can turn into fat, but you have to eat protein because your body cannot make serotonin without tryptophan. Does that make sense? Right. So that's one of the amino acids. So if you remember biochemistry, you have all these amino acids, and then a peptide is just a string of them. And when you string them in a certain sequence up to 40 or 50, you have a dipeptide, and then you have a tripeptide, and they do different things in your body. Have you heard of glutathione?
Yes.
Glutathione is a tripeptide, ECG. Which is funny. That's a whole other, so it's glutamate, glycine, and cysteine. And you probably heard you can take N-acetylcysteine to increase your glutathione levels. Glutathione is your body's main antioxidant. So every bad thing, inflammation, all the bad stuff that happens in your body, glutathione comes in and is ultimately what vitamin C and all these other antioxidants are doing. So these peptide sequences can do tons of different things. Insulin, right, is released when your blood sugar goes up, and it drops your sugar into your muscles and into your liver. So when we say peptides, dude, it's like huge. There's like a ton of different directions that we could go in. And what people are most excited about is their therapeutic benefits. You know, BPC 157, retatrutide, semaglutide, tirzepatide. Those are for weight loss. 5-amino-1-MQ is a peptide that helps increase NAD. You know, Egrifta increases your growth hormone. So there's just a plethora of things. It's kind of like saying supplements. But when we're talking about peptides, we're just talking about these multiple sequences of amino acids, and then they do things in your body, right? That's why you can think of insulin and glutathione are two popular ones that most people have heard of.
And so BPC 157, that's probably the most popular one right now. Would you agree on that?
Yeah, I would say so. So BPC 157, it's naturally found in our gut. And the way I kind of explain it is that they were originally doing research on mice and rats and trying to figure out things for colitis, right? Things for, which is inflammation of your colon. So ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, IBS. And they found great benefit giving these mice more of this naturally occurring amino acid sequence, BPC 157. And then some bodybuilders like, well, if this increases and heals the gut lining, I wonder what this will do to my shoulder. So guys started injecting it everywhere. And that's the other thing with the peptides. BPC is naturally occurring, so it's going to be very hard for a pharmaceutical company to patent it. So there's very little research with them, unfortunately. So that's something you need to be very vigilant about. Hey, you're going to go on and start playing with these things. There's one out right now called Sloop that's very popular for weight loss. It has no human clinical trials at all. Just a rat study out of, shout out to St. Louis University. It's probably fine. If you had to ask me, like, is it going to be safe? Yeah, but right now it's not proven. So BPC has a decent amount of a couple human trials on it and more mice trials as far as safety. And then anecdotally, I'll say, dude, people have been selling this stuff all online. And if something bad would have happened by now, someone be sued. That's just my 2 cents.
Right.
You know what I mean? And on the back end, it works.
Yes.
Like I've chatted about TRT before. Like when I was in med school and like, you come to me, you say your shoulder hurts. And I'm like, yeah, take some turmeric, take some fish oil, take some glucosamine, PT, ice it, IV, ibuprofen works. Let's be honest. If you're like, hey, your shoulder hurts tomorrow, what are you going to take?
Right.
Ibuprofen is going to do the job versus in fish oil, maybe. But with the peptides, they're right up there with like actual medications. Like your elbow hurts. It may not get rid of it instantly in all of it, but almost always when someone's doing a peptide, you want to talk about weight loss, people using semaglutide, tirzepatide, we can get into those. They work. They make you feel full. That's all they do. So if you don't have food noise, don't waste your time with them because they slow down your digestion. But for the majority of people, they work. And what is that worth for a person who's in their mid-50s to lose 30, 40 pounds? Alzheimer's, diabetes, heart disease, all those things. So the peptides work. There's some of them, those are patented and have good research on them, but BPC doesn't really, it could use way more human data.
Mm-hmm.
And then to complicate stuff, the FDA came out and was like, we're not saying these are illegal, but we're also not saying they're safe. There was this big document that came out last year where they basically had that on, I can't remember the sketch, like the non-bulk substance category, that they're like, hey, we've heard about this thing because, like when you go through clinical trials, the FDA comes out and says, hey, look at Tylenol, been through clinical trials. It's safe. Go ahead. 500 people a year have died overdose. So again, that's that whole battle with the FDA.
And correct me if I'm wrong. The FDA has basically said, we can't say if these things are safe. We're not endorsing peptide use. Use at your own discretion. But we also can't say that they're harmful.
Yeah.
That was basically their statement, right?
Yeah. And they're going to word it in a way to like get you to stay away from it, in my opinion, because
they made it sound like, well, this is unknown territory. It did. Yeah. I read the document. after we talked, and it did. If you trust the science, the Fauci science, it did make you think, oh man, maybe I don't want to take peptides. There's a lot of uncertainty with it.
Well, and I'm conservative. I basically will say that to any person. I'm like, hey, I literally lead with that. Not FDA approved. There needs to be more data on it. It's probably not. There are a few that are FDA approved that we can get into, so I don't want to jump around too much. But BPC 157, man, it was one that I started using. I tell the story of I had this elderly woman in her mid 70s, and she had very bad. It was hip pain or back pain, and we chatted. And this was like 2018. I said, you're in your mid 70s. Like, there's this stuff. It's not FDA approved. I don't really know, but it sounds like you're in a rough spot. Like, what do you got to lose? It was like a year later, she emailed me. She's like, Dr. Mo, thank you so much. What I didn't tell you was that I actually had depression. I was constipated, back pain. And she goes, honestly, my hip pains went from like a 7 to a 5, but she's like, my bowels are moving again. My depression has lifted. And that's because with BPC, what makes it very special is it helps regenerate your gut lining.
Right.
Most people have wrecked guts.
Right.
So if you come to me and you go, hey, which one should I try? I'm like, I almost always tell people oral BPC. If you're injecting, right, and someone even asked, the issue with injecting is you got to get it sourced good. Right. And then anytime you got to know how to mix it. You got to be comfortable with needles. Are your needles good? Do you get them from a good spot? Are you storing it correctly? Way more variables. We have a gut lining for a reason. Like, worst case, you absorb it. It goes to your liver. You can have an anaphylactic response to anything. Like, you literally, like, there's people who have done curcumin IVs and had anaphylactic responses. Like their throat closes up. Yeah, someone died. So stem cells, there's people that did stem cells and died because their body just reacted to them improperly because they went straight into the vein. So I would say always start with something oral if you can. And the benefit with BPC is, like, worst case, it's going to try and do something and heal your gut lining. Because most of us have some form of either dysbiosis or gut permeability, right? Your gut has a lining that doesn't allow everything in. And antibiotics, glyphosate, dyes, colors, chemicals, all these things wreck our gut lining. So most people, I'm like, dude, for $150, okay, what's a PT session? $100, $200 going to your chiro? Like, okay, dude, try a bottle of BPC first.
Right.
Worst case, nothing happens. I'd say 60, 70% of the times people notice something. There's a small 20% of people I'd say, like, didn't do anything for me. Agabus. Thank you, brother. He's got the Byzantine flags in there. It's always bass coming on here. So, yeah, I'm a big fan of BPC, just like most people. And it also seems, so a couple other things it does. First thing, it helps heal the gut lining, but it's also been shown to increase angiogenesis, creation of new blood vessels. Also been shown to upregulate growth hormone receptors. And that's why a lot of times, like, my first go-to is optimizing a man's testosterone. And honestly, the first peptides I usually use, depending on where we're at, are the growth hormone peptides. So we can get into those in a second.
Mm-hmm.
But BPC works synergistically with the growth hormone peptides. It's upregulating the growth hormone receptors. So they complement each other. Those are probably the two bigger. And then there's also something that it's modulating with serotonin. And the issue is our gut has more serotonin than our brain, the happy hormone, right? We have more of that in our stomach. So I think if there's one side effect, and I'd be interested if there's been people here who have used BPC, I'd love to hear your feedback. First off, like, let us know. Like,
please. I
like,
just started,
like,
and so is it placebo effect, or could it be legitimate that I feel like the muscles all around my elbow, the aching isn't as bad as it was?
So I would say conservatively placebo. Sorry,
Okay.
like, if you want me to be conservative, less conservative, I'd say, well, at the very least, it's probably helping your gut. And that's going to help with systemic inflammation, right? The issue is when you have a leaky gut, large proteins get into your bloodstream and then your immune system attacks them, which causes inflammation. And then in the attack, there's byproducts, right? So many people that have like, systemic inflammation, a lot of times, like, dude, try and heal that gut first.
Right.
So go to that. I mean, that's if you go to a naturopathic doctor and something's wrong and you're tired, you're fatigued, you're whatever it is, they're like, heal the gut first. And dude, I treated a ton of gut stuff, especially when I was in school, and I kind of gave up on it, to be honest, because it's complicated. Is it a food? Is it mold? Is it Lyme? Is it da-da-da? Like, I kind of call it offensive medicine. Like, you can have defensive medicine. Like, where's this coming from? What's going on? I mean, I'm like, dude, just nuke it, bro. Like, just go at it. Like, I don't know what's causing it. And like BPC is kind of like that thing, if that makes sense.
Right.
And if I wanted to shill another product for them, though, they actually have one that is called GI Ultimate Repair. So two things I'll say. One is I had another. I have so many success stories, especially with Crohn's and colitis. Like, I have a guy at church. I gave him a bottle on the house, and he's like had terrible gut stuff for years. Like, I don't want to oust him, but he's like, Doc, I can eat again, and I feel like I can actually eat. So could be placebo, but I don't care, bro. For $150 and you can't eat, and now you can eat. Like, I don't care if it's placebo. Like, whatever works, man.
Right. I had a question for you about like nootropic stuff. So I was interested in whether or not there's a known, I take nootropics. In fact, you prescribed me a bunch of supplements, natural supplements and stuff to take, acetylcholine. It goes on and on. You signed me up for like 6 different things. Sorry. Well, what about these peptides? Is there a peptide that's known for like it's a great nootropic? Because I would be very interested in getting it.
Yeah. Well, number one, I hate to be BPC is like it. A lot of people will tell you they sleep better, more energy, more mental focus because of the gut. If you have an inflamed gut, you're gonna have an inflamed brain. Then if I had to pick just one, that would be difficult because they all work slightly different.
Right.
But if I had to pick one, I would probably pick 5-amino-1-MQ. 5-amino-1-MQ. You've heard of NAD?
Yeah, of course.
So NAD is basically, the way I explain it, it's like your mitochondria is a coal plant, and your NAD is a truck that is carrying the coal in and out.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
As we age, we have less trucks. So NAD is what carries electrons when you're creating energy. And they originally started doing high doses of NAD IVs for, opiate addiction, traumatic brain injuries, and saw tremendous effects because you're just giving the plant you need superpowered mitochondria. The more powerful your mitochondria is, the more you can do everything. It's a power plant. It's a powerhouse of the cells, the mitochondria. And 5-amino-1-MQ, what it does is actually blocks the breakdown. So you can increase your NAD different way. You can inject it subcutaneous, which is the way I actually like. And then it's like, there's a ton of other people out there, like, what's his name? Sinclair. What's his name? Brian Johnson. Right. Who's the guy you did the transhuman guy who's like doing weird stuff with his son and measuring their erections and stuff.
Oh, Brian Johnson,
right? I think these guys kind of do more like more with NMN, which is the precursor. So you can take oral, you can take the precursor. My opinion, what I've noticed best is either doing a subcutaneous or doing 5-amino-1-MQ to increase NAD, and I notice cognitive clarity, energy, focus. But again, the issue is you could get injectable NAD. It's just more expensive. You're looking at $200, $300, $400. You're having to poke yourself a couple times a week. Where 5-amino-1-MQ is probably $150 to $200 for the same amount. And they have a product that's called Longevity that has that. It has 5-MN in it, the precursor. It has quercetin, which is an antioxidant. It also has like epitalin, which is another peptide that helps with telomere length, right? And that's why I like Kyle's stuff, because he has a combination of several things. That one's good too. That's the neuroregenerate. That was the second peptide. I'd say 5-amino-1-MQ. That one has one called dihexa. And dihexa basically like stem cells for your brain. That's one I have two. I have that one right here. So these are like the couple that I take. I take the 5-amino, I take the longevity, I take the neuro regenerate, and that the other one I take is they have a methylene blue one. Those are the three that I take. Like I rotate them, right, with my nootropic stack. Like I'll do one on Monday, one on Wednesday, one on Friday. So I'm boosting my mitochondria through different pathways. I don't think you could do them all at once, but it's like, that's a pretty expensive stack.
Yeah, it is. That'd be a pretty expensive cycle. Because again, for anybody just tuning in, use promo code COTEL, get 15% off of any product over at Level Up Health. These are peptides, and that's kind of what the point of today's stream is kind of introducing the concept of peptides. If anybody wants to use these, but they're not cheap. These are very high quality. But this is something I'd be very interested in because I take some of the nootropic stuff that you sent me, but based on how I've felt since really after about 2 days on BPC, I started to feel a little bit more energy. Just being able to work a little bit more stamina. Like when I'm sitting here at the computer for 5 hours, not getting as mentally tired. And I thought, geez, if I feel like this after 5 days of BPC 157, I need to get like some type of peptide nootropic.
Mm-hmm. Well, we live in a world. This is the double-edged sword coming from the Orthodox perspective is like, some of the first guys I put on TRT were skeptical and they were in their mid 30s and they all came back like 2 years later. They were high performing guys in San Diego. And they're like, Doc, after I've been around a while, like every guy I talk to is on TRT.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, like you're like all the Hollywood people, they're on hormones, they're on peptides, the weight loss ones, like those hit like Elon Musk took semaglutide, Kim Kardashian took semaglutide, Charles Barkley, like all of them, they work, you know what I mean? Honestly, but there is kind of that balance of, man, like vanity and more so just like the transhumanism things. Like, do I want to pump my body full of so many things so I can just make more money? Like the capitalistic mind.
Right.
That's the, theology, that's kind of the more difficult part.
Well,
but
my
I'm
thought
that way.
was, I just want to maintain, or if possible, to restore myself to a fuller potential, just in general. And so we've talked about all the endocrine disruptors and, from everything that we use, everything in our society, the food, the water. And so for me, it's like, I thought about getting a nootropic peptide just to, like you said, sort of nuke, instead of being defensive about it, just like, let's just be offensive. And if this works, something like stem cells and helps grow neurons and will make me building new synaptal connections even easier, then it's like, well, let's do it.
Yep. Yeah. And that's, we've had that conversation about, especially for hormones. Like, it's funny. I saw there's an MD and he made a post about, he put his son on TRT at 16. I don't know about that, but he's like, dude, my son's testosterone was like 200. It's like, you're not breastfed, you have head injuries, you're being swamped in glyphosate, blue lights, vaccinate, all these different things. I don't know where that line is. But like you're saying, you wake up in a world like, okay, I'm looking at a screen all day. Dude, I look at screens all day. So it's like, am I just supposed to put up with that? Or should I not take an antioxidant that is going to help with you produce free radicals? Like that's what antioxidants offset. And we have way more of it. And like, don't get me wrong, your grandpa had lead, right? You seen the Spider-Man meme?
Yeah.
He's like, my grandpa with lead, my dad with Agent Orange, and me with microplastics. Like, it's not the first time for everything, but I do think it's quite a bit different now with the amount of microplastics, with the fragrances. Like, dude, you go into, a restaurant and you're getting sprayed with the fragrances. Those are endocrine disruptors. Those are definitely like estrogen receptor agonists. So they're mimicking estrogen.
Right.
So why not take things to boost my mitochondria that fights that, right? Your mitochondria is what's going to power your cells to detoxify, and then give my body extra glutathione to detoxify.
Right.
So
we got a couple questions that I want to get your thoughts on. Major thank you goes out to Jake the Guitar God. or Jack the Guitar. I always say that. Jack the Guitar God threw in multiple $2 super chats and said, let's get this 20 goal for Brother DPH, gentlemen.
Let's go.
Please. Thank you very much. Jack, God bless you, brother. Hope you're able to join the follow-up meeting. Again, for anybody who just joined, this stream is leading into a private Q&A, basically a free consultation, if you remember, at the Logos Academy with Dr. Mo. That's my men's only philosophy, theology, masculine development community. So, Jack, God bless you, brother. Thank you for all the support, man. Really appreciate it. And Keenan Beats, God bless you, Keenan. Hope you're doing well, brother. I haven't been able to catch up lately. Would love to catch up with you. He says, gentlemen, I have a buddy who decided to go on estrogen blockers instead of TRT. He had low T, but now he feels great. What's your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, the estrogen bad. It's funny. I actually have some videos coming out. First off, I can understand why he would feel better, but I'd like to say that estrogen is good, right? Estrogen gets demonized a lot. You need estrogen for your cholesterol. You need estrogen for your bones. You need estrogen for your brains. Nitric oxide production. Estrogen helps you feel good, right? If your estrogen's low and Gandalf shows up at Helm's Deep, you're not going to tear up, right? Your daughter's walking down the aisle. You're not going to tear up. Like, you need estrogen to feel connected. Now, again, going back to our earlier conversation, the issue is we have lots of xenoestrogens in our environment, which means there are things that look like estrogen. They hit our estrogen receptors and then they cause an issue. And they're not necessarily bioidentical, meaning we don't know what they're doing. Like BPA is a xenoestrogen, and, like, probably have some in here in my Topo Chico, honestly.
Yep, same.
And I was like, what am I supposed to do? Not just drink water? I mean, I could, whatever.
Yeah.
So when that xenoestrogen goes in there and hits my estrogen receptor, you will get gynecomastia. Like, if you get your estrogen,
this is what bitch tits are from what you refer to as a soy boy.
Yeah, gyno, and soy is a xenoestrogen. So it hits the receptor, not like estrogen. We don't want that. We don't want xenoestrogens. We want actual estrogen. Actual estrogen is fine. Now, to couple that, your fat has more of the enzyme called aromatase. Think flour, aroma. We have testosterone and gets converted into estrogen by aromatase. And your body does a natural conversion of that. And honestly, when your testosterone is high, it creates lots of free radicals. Estrogen works as an antioxidant inside of your mitochondria to offset that, like, increased power that you get from testosterone. Okay. You need estrogen. That's the first thing I want to say. But we live in a world where we have lots of xenoestrogens. And then we also live in a world where everyone's overweight. So because everyone is overweight, they get an over aromatization of their testosterone. Like you and I, like, you could go on TRT right now and you'll be fine, right? I'm on TRT. I have hundreds of guys on TRT. None of them are on estrogen blockers. All of their estrogen is probably higher than your friends. I have estrogens in 70, 80, 90. The reference range is under 40. So the issue isn't the estrogen. The issue is often, like, chemical exposure. If he's overweight, he's over aromatizing. He's getting hit with these xenoestrogens. Right. So for a moment, he's going to feel good. But the issue is your testosterone gets converted into estrogen, and they take an aromatase inhibitors that stops that.
Right.
Okay. Bad idea. It may work for a little bit, in my opinion, and maybe his estrogen is 200 or 300. But now your estrogen receptor isn't even being hit by estrogen. It's only being hit by xenoestrogens. So, I would say, look, sometimes there's very few circumstances that you need an aromatase inhibitor. Guys who are on gear, you can have some genetic deficient SNPs and what's called MTHFR, COMT. You may need I don't even like saying that publicly, honestly, because it's like so rare that that's an actual thing. But our old school idea of TRT, and especially from coming guys on gear and getting gynecomastia, they translated that over to TRT. That makes sense.
He says, so, asking this while eating soybeans and drinking IPA.
And look, you can get away with it. Honestly, if you're taking NAC, helps increase glutathione, which helps decrease estrogen. So if your friend was my patient, I'd say, let's work on the diet. Like, where are your xenoestrogens coming from? Plastics, perfumes. Do you work in a barber shop? Are you working somewhere that you're touching these xenoestrogens? Are you overweight? Let's get you to lose some weight. And then we can use supplement. Zinc is a minor aromatase inhibitor. DIM, calcium D-glucarate, or natural supplements that will lower them slightly. Because the issue with the estrogen blockers is they block your estrogen by like 80 to 90%.
Right.
So they nuke your estrogen. Like you have an estrogen at 80, drops like 8. And if you're a guy and you're working out and you're trying to squat 500 pounds and your estrogen's that of a 90-year-old woman, not great, dude. Estrogen's also important for collagen synthesis. Like there are certain people that are now actually men in the biohacking world who are actually taking estrogen, injecting estrogen and feeling great and feeling awesome. It's very counterintuitive, but we've been filled with this whole like, estrogen bad, but it's usually only in the bodybuilding. And the other thing in the bodybuilding world is they're using, right? You have your regular testosterone, which will naturally go into estrogen, naturally go into DHT. Great. But when you're using anabolics, like nandrolone is a lot like progesterone. Oxandrolone, Anavar, is a lot like DHT. They don't act like testosterone. Part of the reason a bodybuilder takes oxandrolone or Anavar is because it won't convert into estrogen. And it's actually 3 to 5 times as anabolic as testosterone. So when you start playing with all that stuff, maybe you'll need an estrogen blocker. And the issue is like 30, 40 years ago, most of the HRT stuff was coming from like, well, what's Arnold doing? What's Sylvester Stallone doing? What's Ronnie Coleman been doing? And it's like, dude, that guy, he's not you, dude. You're not Ronnie Coleman, first off. But there's nuance. And I personally really try and stay away from blocking estrogen. I think it's good for guys. There's maybe some small people that you could consider it in. I would work on other things first. And it may be fine for now, but he should measure his cholesterol. I guarantee his cholesterol is being nuked. His growth hormone. Estrogen is important for your growth hormone. Guys who take clomiphene, which we've chatted about.
Yeah.
It modulates the estrogen receptor on the brain. Almost all the guys lower their growth hormone with it. And maybe the risk versus reward is there. Like maybe your guy, your test is 300, your growth hormone, your IGF-1's 200. Maybe it's worth it to go on clomiphene and get your test to 700, 800, 900 and your growth hormone to drop to 100 and you feel better. Right? That's the point. My opinion, that's what a doctor should be doing. Not just like giving protocols. Like, what's your risk versus reward? What's your goals? Let me explain everything to you, and then we'll figure out the right protocol.
Right. There's always a give and take. There is no miracle.
No free lunches, dude. You have to, there's going to be some kind of output. Like on testosterone, it makes your blood slightly more viscous, right? Lance Armstrong took EPO to make his blood more viscous. TJ Dillashaw, MMA fighter, did the same thing. They carry more oxygen. But the issue thing is, like, if your blood is more viscous, is that probably good on your heart?
Probably not.
But, okay, let's say you're at 48% viscosity. You get on TRT and it goes to 50. Does that take 10 years off your life or 10 days? And on the other end, does the increase in oxygen capacity help your mitochondria and actually extend your life? Like, you know what I'm saying? There's these gives and takes that we don't have great answers for. And especially in the peptide world, a lot of people are just throwing stuff out there. And the other thing is because it's not regulated, there are plenty of gurus, influencers. And I get this with bodybuilding coaches, right? Like you get a new personal trainer and your personal trainer's like, hey, you need to be taking 500 mgs of test a week. You need to be on 25 milligrams oxandrolone. You need to be on BPC. You need to be on retatrutide. You need to be, it's like, yeah, because your personal trainer wants you to get results.
Right.
So I have to talk people off. I literally had a call today with a patient who's like, hey, I'm going to start running, 50 milligrams of oxandrolone because my buddy at the gym told me that. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, you'll put on muscle, man, but we don't. And look, to be honest, I've kind of said this publicly that I think in the future, I hope there is a space that we can use anabolics appropriately because they're more powerful than testosterone. So if you're a 55-year-old guy and you're going in for a back surgery, I personally think it's probably worth taking some Anavar for 6 to 8 weeks or some nandrolone 6 to 8 weeks before and after the surgery. Just to get, and then, is that hard on your heart? Maybe a little bit, but dude, you're having back surgery. They're slicing your back open and pulling you open and like fusing your spine. So is that not a good risk versus reward to try and regenerate quicker and get up and going? You're 55 years old. Right. So we can't have those conversations though, unfortunately. I hope we get there at some point.
So I want you to address. We welcome all naysayers. People that may or may not agree with us. We got a couple people that are viewing the use of peptides or focusing so much on hormone regulation as somehow non-orthodox. And so, in the flow media, God bless you, brother. He says, don't take TRT, man, unless you really need it and want to depend on it the rest of your life. If the saints didn't need it, neither do we. And then this was followed up by Nathaniel. He says, gotta agree, keeping a stack and watching all this sounds a lot like a lot of headspace wasted. I don't get that unless you just don't have that much space in your head. How lost in the sauce with money and time are you going to spend tracking all this? What are your thoughts on that, Dr. Mo?
Yeah, I mean, dude, and trust me, I thought about this a lot as I became Orthodox, and I think a lot of converts have to deal with this. That we have a tattoo artist at my church who does a lot of non-Orthodox tattoos. We have the saints as examples. A lot of them ate bread only 3 days a week.
Right. And a lot of them are monastics, by the way. I am a lay married man. So that's certainly a different context. I see that all the time by the young guys who want to compare their life in 2025 as a lay Orthodox Christian to like monks on Mount Athos.
St. Paisios.
Like, bro, you have a different role in the church.
Yeah. But it's good for them to be vigilant, bring this up. Like, absolutely. I'm not here to say and I would say, similar to anything, you should talk to your priest about it. Like, you may be in a circumstance, like if you've had substance abuse, or maybe you're caught up in vanity, or you're doing it for the wrong reasons. I hope I can look at this objectively and say, dude, when I was 27, I got out of school. My testosterone was at one point in the mid 2s, but often in the mid 300s. I'm 200 pounds now. I was 167 pounds at one point. I got tiny because I was low motivation, low drive, couldn't sleep, working 2 jobs, driving all up and down LA. And as I started practicing, I had guys who were 45 and they come to me, dude, this is my patient. Like, do this every day. A guy, 45, I have 3 kids. I work full time. I can get up and go to the gym. I can excel at work. I can play with my kids when I get home, or I can, hang out with my wife. I can do 2 of those every day, maybe 3, never 4 of those. And it's like, well, dude, your testosterone's 300. And so what am I supposed to say? Oh, well, wake up early and try harder, dude. Like, that was, and trust me, I've had other doctor friends who are like, I make my men earn their testosterone, meaning like, let me do all the natural stuff for 6 months, 12 months to a year to naturally boost it. In a perfect world, I 100% agree. But the dude who's 45 and 30 pounds overweight, he's not, you have to meet people where you're at. Like, I'm not a priest, but part of being that is how do I help this person sitting down in front of me? And there are plenty of people I've put on hormones and taken off of them. You know what I mean? Every person has their different opinion. So that's why my visit's an hour, and I actually need to get to know you. Like, what is your goal in life? And I don't see why TRT is any worse than alcohol, smoking, nicotine. Like, there's plenty of other ways people go, oh, TRT is dangerous. Dude, bro,
you saints didn't have an online bank account. So I think that's a fallacious form of argumentation to compare life in 2025 and be like, well, the saints didn't do this or that. Yep. Okay. The saints are a spiritual ideal for all of us, but the lives and circumstances are very different. And as you already talked about, the endocrine disruptors, like the world that we live in is very different. I imagine you grab a saint from Mount Athos in the medieval period, his testosterone was probably still pretty damn high compared to the average, like, man in the Western world. I mean, you even take a decently masculine man and their testosterone may still be fairly low.
Yeah. And you should be vigilant. Like I said, watch out for vanity. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
And I also get, the headspace argument. I think there can be something there. Like, it's a lot of time and effort. I think the thing that I would push back is, dude, a lot of people have different hobbies. Like, is Father Moses in his lifting heavy weights, or Father Zachariah, is that Orthodox?
Yeah. But is Father Moses, because he power lifts and focuses on supplements and things like this to optimize his health, does that make him like non-Orthodox? I mean, he's a Rocor priest.
Yeah. So
exactly. The saints weren't bathing in glyphosate.
Yeah. Hey, bro, I've been to Athos. They have cell phones there. You know, I could tell you a lot of other things. They have air conditioning in some of their cells. Like, it's not what you think it is. So, but I'm with them. Like, trust me, I have to keep myself in line. Like, why am I doing these peptides? Personally, I hope that I become a better person. And any guy that's been on TRT almost universally tells you, I'm a better father. I can go to church. I'm more social. I show up. But you can get addicted. You know, there can be negative stuff. It boosts your libido. Trust me, I had a woman, an Orthodox woman's like, how can you be giving all these young men testosterone, in particular tadalafil? It increases the passions. I'm like, yeah, they should be talking to their spiritual father. I'm not their spiritual father. I'm their doctor. And you come to me and you say, I have this issue. My job is to help you deal with the side effects. And trust me, I try. I always have my icons in the back. I almost always try and talk about spirituality, any type of, you know, chance that I get with patients, because it's important. Body, mind, and soul, like it all goes together. So, and it is tough, right? You've chatted a lot about transhumanism. Like, where is that line? Like, dude, we didn't get to do the natural question. Like, dude, peanut butter is not natural. Like, you want me to like go over like, where does the natural thing end? Tylenol is not natural. Vaccines are not natural. You do not find these things in nature. You know, Topo Chico is not like, it's a sparkling water that has artificial flavors in it. Like, I get it. The argument most people have with natural is there's a cutoff when you do bioidenticals and it messes with your feedback loop. Does that make sense? Like, that's the cutoff where most people are like, hey, BPC is a naturally occurring amino acid supplement, right? That it exists in your gut. TRT is natural, but I'm pushing myself into super physiological levels. Women who take birth control are not natural, right? That's the crazy thing. Like, okay, so the 16, 17-year-old girl will give her progesterone and estrogen, but if I give a 17-year-old male testosterone, then it's wrong. And I'm not saying to give 17-year-old men testosterone, but a lot of the herbs too, like you don't find a capsule of like ashwagandha, like these combinations are not natural.
Right.
Like, you're not going to go out in nature and find PEA, BPC, and hyaluronic acid in a tablet anywhere. You have to go out there and synthesize all those things and put them together. You know, if you want to make a organic tincture, you have to find the alcohol, you have to put the herbs in there and then draw out the constituents. Like, ashwagandha has minor SSRI properties in it. Many guys have taken ashwagandha and feel terrible. So cyanide's natural. So we have to use some kind of middle ground discernment.
Right.
So,
yeah. We got some questions. If you guys have questions, send them in, because now we're already at 52 minutes. As I said, this is a shorter stream because we're leading into a private Q&A over at the Logos Academy for all those guys that have much more specific pointed questions for Dr. Mo regarding their own health. So that's what we're doing. We're going to be transitioning over to a Zoom meeting. If you guys want to join, just go sign up at Logos Academy on school. Here is the link right here. Sign up and you'll get the link that actually brings you to the Zoom meeting. It's all posted on the calendar page. So that's going to be where we're heading here soon. But I want to, while we're here doing the free live stream, if you guys have questions, send them in, and I'm going to go through some, at least that we have so far. First one was from Organized Insanity. Does zeolite actually do anything to detox heavy metals?
yeah, I think zeolite clay. The issue with like a question like that, I hate to be so nuanced all the time. Like, yes, does it? Yes, it does a little bit, but same like chlorella and spirulina. I don't know how much it actually moves the needle. Like, for instance, if you have alcohol poisoning or stuff, there is evidence that if you like drop charcoal in there, soaks it up, right? And then the zeolite clay binds to the stuff and helps you pass through. The issue, heavy metal toxicity, detoxification is a whole other like monster. Like, because if you're eating a small amount of mercury every day, you're slowly absorbing that, goes in your blood, and then it gets deposited all throughout your body very slowly. So imagine like you have a lake and you go out there every day and you throw like some lead or like mercury. You throw it in the lake. It's like it slowly gets spread out everywhere. It's like, all right, if I throw some zeolite in there, is it going to like soak it all up at once? With heavy metal toxicity, I don't do this. But what you really want to do is get IVs of binders. So if you have heavy metal toxicity, first off, in order to get diagnosed, you should do binders. You go and you do an IV. You can use some oral. I'm skeptical if the orals work that good. But you do a challenge test. So you sit down, you get an IV of stuff that you suck it into your bloodstream, and then you can do a blood test or you do a urine test to see those heavy metals. The issue is if you're going to pull out a ton of mercury all at once and it's floating in your blood, then some of it's going to go up to your brain. Does that make sense? So that's why detox is it's one of those guru things, you know. It's like the Instagram influencer chick who's in her yoga pants and she's like, buy my detox tea. It's like, yeah, that has milk thistle and dandelion root, which, you know, kind of, it helps your liver and your liver helps detox and you increases. So there are truths to that, but it's just tough having to have these, giving like short, quick answers on pretty complex topics, as you can tell. It's like rambling maybe too. The other thing I would love to chat about are the weight loss peptides. I mean, semaglutide, tirzepatide, and retatrutide.
Okay.
These are GLP-1 agonists. They work.
That's the hottest thing in medicine right now is the GLP-1s.
Yeah. Retatrutide is still in clinical trials. It's not out. So semaglutide is just what's called the GLP-1 agonist. So that's released when you're done eating. So when you eat, you release GLP-1 and you say, I'm full, your digestion slows down. That was the kind of first generation. There was older ones, but that's the most popular. Then they came out with tirzepatide, which has this other GIP receptor agonist, which is another like hunger thing. People have better results with that. There's more muscle preservation. One of the issues with semaglutide is you lose a lot of muscle. And so when people come to me, I optimize their testosterone first. Like, dude, I would not jump on semaglutide. You know, you're a dude that's like 45, you're 30 pounds overweight, and you want to jump on semaglutide, like, get your testosterone optimized first.
Right.
That 10 to 20 pounds of muscle you're going to lose is more valuable than losing that 20 or 30 pounds of fat, my opinion.
Right.
So, but right now, retatrutide is like the thing. And that's because it's like new. It's not through its clinical trials. It's close. It will probably come out next year. I think it's Eli Lilly. And someone will correct me.
Yeah.
It's great though. I've had plenty of guys take it. Mental clarity. It activates what's called the glucagon receptor, which is the better of the hormone receptors that gets activated when you're fasting and full.
Oh,
so it raises your blood sugar. Lots of guys tell me like they have mental clarity, they have energy, can raise the heart rate up a little bit though, can make you a little bit anxious. So that's just ones that people are like wanting to play with right now is the GLP-1s and specifically retatrutide. I just like having it like it's not through clinical trials yet. Most people get it from research purposes only, is what it is. And be careful buying them for research purposes only. There's a reason they say that.
Right. So we got some questions. So let's do rapid fire here. So just hit them with the direct answers. Guys, send in your questions. If you want to support the stream for offering content like this so you guys can ask your questions, please support. I'm trying to raise money to go down to DebateCon in Nashville in a couple weeks. So all the proceeds that I make here, I'm saving for that travel fund. So if you want to support and you're able to, please do so. Would greatly appreciate it. Benjamin throws in a generous $30 over on the Streamlabs and says, you really helped me on my path to becoming a catechumen, and I'm looking forward to starting your book this weekend. Best to you. Well, thank you so much, Benjamin. I just actually sent out his book. So I'm glad that you've already received it, brother. God bless you. And I actually got a bunch of more books that came in, so I'll be shipping them out. So if anybody has ordered through my website, expect me to get fully caught up by Monday. So all the books that people have purchased through the website will be sent out by Monday. So anyways, thank you guys for that. Next one is Journey of Abundance. Methylene Blue has been awesome for me. Great feeling of natural energy. You mind giving a quick little rundown on Methylene Blue? This is something my wife actually has been asking me to get into. She was already into Methylene Blue. She was drinking the liquid. I did call her Smurf Mouth because whenever I'd see all her teeth and her mouth was all blue. But what are your thoughts on methylene blue? You sound like you already take it and you highly recommend it for detoxing.
So yeah, yes, that's it.
All right.
No, yeah, I love methylene blue is one of my favorites that I rotate. Originally was used to treat malaria, so it has anti microbial stuff. It's also, be careful though, it is a MAO inhibitor,
Oh,
ayahuasca,
yeah.
right? Very low. I only found one paper of someone like having an adverse effect, and it was via IV. So most people are going to be fine with 5 to 10 milligrams of it. Not medical advice. But yeah, definitely helps with energy, antimicrobial, increases your oxygen uptake. It's actually used in met hemoglobinemia. So like when you have an inability to carry oxygen, they give it to you in the ER. So was originally used for other microbial stuff. So people use it for post-COVID, long haul, Lyme disease. And what I like about their formula, and I use a couple, but we're shilling for them. They have L-carnitine, which is good for your fatty acid metabolism. It also has ubiquinol, which is the active form of CoQ10. So overall antioxidant and mitochondrial support. And so methylene blue, by increasing the amount of oxygen that we can carry, just, feeds your mitochondria. So a lot of that's like the thing you'll hear over and over in the longevity space is keeping your mitochondria going. It's your engine. It's the powerhouse of your cell. It's called Mito Blue if you wanted to check it.
All right.
And
Well,
the
it's
other
on
thing,
here.
other thing you had said earlier, usually when people talk about the Wolverine blend, it's usually a combination of BPC 157 with another peptide called thymosin beta 4 or TB4 or thymus. I get them this, like there's TB4 and then there's TB500. They're basically the same thing. One's just a little bit smaller. That one's even better for regeneration though. Your thymus produces immune molecules or peptides that go and heal. So when you sprain your ankle, that's an immune response, right? Stem cells are immune response.
Right.
And this particular blend, they also work synergistically together. Thymosin beta is activating your immune system to help send cytokines, stem cells, and stuff for regeneration. It is a little bit controversial, the thymosin beta 4. This is in Frag and has a thing called SNAC that helps it get absorbed orally. People will debate that. Most often, if people go to a Wolverine blend, they're going to be injecting it.
Okay.
So.
We got a few that I want to address here. What do you think of minoxidil for beard growth?
Yeah,
I got to pee real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah, minoxidil is a vasodilator. So often beard will probably help a little bit. Most often people think about that for thinning of the hair. It's actually a blood pressure medication though, because it helps with vasodilation. So it lowers your blood pressure. Hit or miss though, I'll say. I think in the research, 60 to 70% of people over 12 to 16 weeks will notice some form of benefit from it. Side effects wise though, because it can slightly lower your blood pressure, it can kind of make you a little bit out of it. Not every person experiences that. So if you have normal blood pressure and you take that, and again, not medical advice, I'm just, talking about the biochemistry and physiology. And then the other thing, I think with the vasodilation, some people have noticed they get allergic shiners or bags under their eye. But as far as things for hair growth, it's probably one of the more safer ones. I would definitely say stay away from finasteride. We chatted earlier about blocking estrogen. The other even worse mistake people do is they block DHT. And there's something called post-finasteride syndrome that comes from that. You need DHT. DHT gives you energy. DHT is testosterone's meaner older brother. Estrogen's kind of like the sensitive younger sister. You need all three of them. They're all great. But when you block DHT, like you want to read horror stories, go read about post-finasteride syndrome. Guys who have been unable to be intimate sexually for a very long time, no drive, no motivation. It actually gives the physiognomy or
physiognomy.
Yeah, like they're literally Google. You could probably do it. Google finasteride, and the guy's jaws literally get smaller. Finasteride. And then there's just post-finasteride syndrome that guys literally have brain fog. I had a patient 2 weeks ago. He's like, bro, how do they let this stuff be legal? Like, this guy is in a not good spot. Depression, suicide. I had one guy that was on a block, like he was my nurse's patient. They put him on that. He literally jumped out of his window in the hospital. Like, it messes with your brain, man. You need DHT. And look, 99% of people, I think it's 90%, take finasteride, have no negative side effects. It's about 10%. I tried it. I felt terrible for 2 days. I'm like, I ain't touching this. Of that 10%, then like 10% of those people, so it's like 1% of finasteride users end up having long-term issues using it. It works for hair growth though, because you have, depending on your balding style, you have DHT receptors on your head. And so when you block DHT, you know, it does help with your hair growth.
AB said it sounds like what happened to me after SARMs.
Oh, we haven't talked about SARMs. Yeah. SARMs are all terrible. Stay away from SARMs. Until we understand them, stay away. Like, just do TRT. These guys do that. Like, well, I'm not going to do TRT because it's not natural, but SARMs are better. Dude, you're modulating the receptor for androgens. You know how many guys, I had guys come to me lactating, dude.
What?
Yes. Because it messes with prolactin and thyroid, prolactation hormone, right? You're modulating the androgen receptor, which plays with thyroid and dopamine plays with prolactin. And dude, it's like, I had guys come to me when I have labs that make absolutely no sense. It's almost always a guy that took like RAD 140, LGD 4033. There's some promise in them. I just, at this point, I know how HRT works. These are all still experimental. Some of them have some studies on them, but most, and a lot of guys actually feel great on them. Like, you can get like anabolic like benefits from them. Like, I had guys like, yeah, dude, I put on 20 pounds of muscle using, you know, RAD 140 and LGD with enclomiphene, because then they'll use enclomiphene to boost their testosterone. But I've had some pretty tough patients that have come, but the other issue is you're getting it from research purposes only. So I don't even know if you're taking RAD 140,
right?
You know, so
yeah. Shout out to our beloved Kristen, Slowboy Whiteboard. She said, serious question. How are pharmaceuticals not a form of transhumanism?
They are.
It's a good question. I mean, it's basically a philosophical question in regards to any sort of potential augmentation. This is where actually the transhumanists argue that if you wear glasses, you're already transhuman. And I think that there's a sure.
Yeah.
But even then, the use of your smartphone, I think it's all a slope moving towards the agreement. But I do think there has to be some type of delineation, some type of line. I'm not sure where it goes, because when you watch somebody like Brian Johnson doing everything he can not to die, you know, and you hate for anything like a freak accident to occur for somebody who puts that much effort so that their body doesn't age. And, you know, so God willing, that doesn't occur for him. I don't wish anybody ill, but with somebody like Brian Johnson, I mean, he is openly a transhumanist, and yet he hasn't put the electrodes in his brain. You know, he hasn't become a cyborg fully, but that's where he intends to go. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's a serious theological question too, that I think the church needs to wrestle with. I bring this up in my book, and my argument is that the technologies themselves or the pharmaceuticals can't be evil, and because they don't have a will, and that there needs to be some delineation. When I was with Father John Valadez in a recent stream, I asked him, like, what is the line? Like, say you're a plumber and you own a business and digital currency comes out, and that's the only way that you're able to now run, you know, do commerce. Are you submitting to the Antichrist? Like, where is the line for us Orthodox Christians? And the church is, you know, kind of decades behind this question. So we need more spiritual fathers to speak out on this. But, you know, from somebody like St. Paisios or Metropolitan Neophytos of Morphu, they advocated for us to use the internet and technology to spread orthodoxy. So is my smartphone and my computer leading me closer to the transhumanist future? Yeah, it is. But we see at least some ways in which that could be used in a positive benefit. Pharmaceuticals and the pharmaceutical industry is absolutely moving us towards transhumanism. I mean, they are fully on board with patenting the ways in which to modulate and augment the human body so that they make money on it in perpetuity. So I don't know. I think this is a question everybody needs to ask themselves. I mean, am I moving towards transhumanism by taking peptides? To the point that Dr. Mo's making, this isn't natural. This isn't totally found in nature. Yes, BPC 157 is a peptide that's already in my gut, and this is stimulating more peptides to be released in my system. But I don't know. It's a good question. Everybody needs to really ask themselves, where is the line that you won't cross? And I think that maybe is the spiritual threshold, is the line that we set for ourselves. But there definitely is going to be an objective line at some point. I mean, that's what the mark of the beast ultimately is. And I can see health, and that's what the World Health Organization, the WHO, was all about. Is they're trying to create a centralized structure of authority to move everyone's health into this transhumanist one world future. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on it, Dr. Mo?
I mean, we get psyoped in so many different ways that the crazy thing for me being in the industry is there's literally nothing fought more. Like, give me one therapy in medicine that is not fought more than TRT in men. They'll give it to transgenders. The young guy comes in and his test is 300 and he's like, doc, I'm tired. I'm depressed. Oh, don't do TRT. Let's give you an antidepressant. Hey, doc, I'm on the antidepressant. Now I'm tired all the time. Oh, okay. Here, take some Adderall. Okay. Hey, doc, I can't sleep now. Okay. Here, take a benzo. Right. Do you know how many guys have come to me that are on like 5 or 6 psychiatric medications and we put them on TRT? And I don't mean to be a lesser of evils, but if you want to look at an industry that's being attacked, it's like, I don't know how much longer we'll have HRT. They're already trying
men,
to
right? That's the caveat there for actual grown men to get testosterone who need it. The government's doing everything in its power to prevent that from happening. But if you're a 13-year-old girl or 11-year-old girl that wants it, they will pay for it. They will make sure you get your hormones.
You'll pay for it.
I'll pay for it. Exactly.
Yeah. You know, what's funny is like, so the reference range that they use in transgender therapy. So right now, the reference range in men, if you are a 50-year-old male and you feel bad and you go in, the total testosterone, depending on the lab, is almost always 250 on the bottom to 800 on the top. Okay. Used to be 1200 to 350. So they lowered it from 350 on the bottom to 250.
So the window's already shrunk.
And so if you go in there and you're a guy, this happened to my friend of mine in his early 30s. He goes in and he gets his blood tested and his test is 240. For insurance to cover it, you have to have it measured twice under 250 before 8 a.m. He goes back, I think it was that week or a week later. He measures his testosterone and it's 255. Oh, can't be your testosterone. Dude is 33 years old, full-time dad, 2 girls who are autistic. You know what I mean? Just like tough life.
A lot of stress. Yeah.
And I go, bro, go to the TRT clinic. They put him on a year later. Guy's like 15 pounds of muscle. It's like, my wife notices a difference. I'm playing with my girls again. I'm excelling at work. It's like, that is the tough part about the transhuman thing. I will argue that from a place of temptation, from a place of being sick, in a place of depression, I feel obligated to help guys get their testosterone higher, just like you're obligated to get them working out, to get them having more energy, sleeping better, because sin will be more, you will be attacked more by your passions. Like more guys have, I don't know if I can make a blank statement, but there are plenty of guys who have crashed testosterone levels because they're watching so much porn. Yeah. Like that's one thing. They watch so much porn, they masturbate, so they have no oomph or drive or motivation to go and actually pursue a woman. Right. And
or do something in the world, build something in the world. I mean, all types of drive, not just your sexual drive. That's a huge one. But, and you're seeing this, like even I've noticed it with some of the the younger guys that I've met, even, in the church that have very little drive to actually find a woman, although they thought, okay, that'd be nice, but they take 0 steps in preparation to like build a life for themselves so that they could take care of a wife and children. Um, and I
this is
think it
where
probably is due to the testosterone problem.
and that's what I would argue, is that 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, his testosterone was 650, 700. This guy now, I guarantee his testosterone's 300, 400. And yeah, this is what I'm saying. You can go to him and say, hey, go buy $300 worth of supplements, get a nice gym pass, wake up at 7 a.m., start drinking clean water, go look at the sun in the morning. And you get on my end where I'm like, bro, we can put you on TRT. You're going to feel good in a couple of weeks. Like, you'll feel good next week. You're going to want to go to the gym.
Right.
Like, you're actually going to have oomph. And I know that's the part that, in my opinion, is the most controversial. I had friends in school and I treated guys naturally for 3 years. I hate to be that guy where I'm kind of siding with the pharmaceutical. Like, it worked. Like, you want a guy, it's kind of like you're tired. Adderall works. Sorry, folks. Now, is that my go-to? No, I don't prescribe it at all. But I get on the far end where people need help. And if I know there's a 10% success rate when this 45-year-old guy sits across from me, I go, all right, Rob, here's your $300 worth of supplements. I want you to wake up at 5:30 and go to the gym every week. I need you to start eating ketogenic diet. And then after work, like, hey, make sure you play with your girls to build, be a good father, and then make sure you can perform for your wife. And he's like, Doc, I can't even, it ain't working, right, with my wife. Like, so what am I supposed to do? Be like, well, maybe in 3 months. Or I could be like, hey, if we get you on TRT or maybe some tadalafil, that's just one less area that's gnawing at him.
Right.
And again, I get it. Paul like talks about, hey, you have your thorn, and the saints willingly go into those environments. I think for a lot of us who live in the world, though, man, it's like, am I just supposed to sit around with a headache, or can I take some Tylenol? I mean, we're all autistic already, so what's the big deal?
Yeah, pretty much. Another question is, are there any known peptides for reversing cancers?
Well, so cancer happens naturally. Unfortunately, we all have cancer cells. Cancer cells, basically what happens is all cells have an internal mechanism. They have apoptosis, where they just shut off from multiplying, right? That's what warts have, a wrong way of apoptosis. So they just keep growing and they get larger and larger and larger. Thymosin alpha 1, it comes from your thymus, is an immunomodulating peptide. And that one, and there's multiple others. I'd say if there's one that has some promise in treating and helping with cancer, I'd say thymosin alpha 1 would be the go-to.
Mm-hmm.
But you also get someone who has cancer, their gut's going to be wrecked. So BPC is probably going to help. BPC is controversial in cancer because it increases blood flow. So it depends on the cancer.
And that was another question I thought I saw, but I can't remember, is the thought was, when we were talking about BPC, that it may exacerbate a cancer or a tumor if you already have one.
Yeah, we don't know. And it would, a tumor, it kind of depends. There's different cancers. There's blood cancers, there's prostate cancer, lung cancer, breast cancer. Like, all those react differently to different environments. Like breast cancer, if it's a HER2 positive, is going to react to estrogen. Your leukemia is not really going to react to estrogen, right? So that's the hard part with a lot of these things. It's not like we can make blank statements and say BPC, cancer. What we know about testosterone, higher guys with higher testosterone have a decreased chance for aggressive prostate cancer, and they have a decreased chance for colorectal cancer. Those are two that are pretty well documented. Well, and it's the chicken or the egg thing too, because it's like guys who have naturally high testosterone, they're going to be taking care of themselves. They're probably going to be eating better, so less inflamed. Right. So you can make the argument that it's correlation, not causation. But I'm like, why wouldn't I get as many correlations as possible?
Right.
Because I don't think we really, really know. So.
All right. Well, let's wrap up here. We're going to answer a few more questions, and then Dr. Mo and I are heading over to a private Q&A Zoom meeting for everybody that's in the Logos Academy. So if you want to follow us over there, make sure you do so by signing up. The link, I'll go ahead and post it again on the feed. Well, I'll post the link to the Logos Academy here in the chat. But if you join the Logos Academy, we have like basically a Facebook like feed, as you can see here. And I'll make another post for people that join up just for easy access. But you just go over to this calendar section. You can see right here, live stream on peptides, and then our private Dr. Mo private Q&A right here. And you just click that link right there. It'll take you to the Zoom meeting. But to wrap up real quick, somebody said, what is the best oral supplement to optimize your testosterone? And I want to tie that with another one, best way to up test naturally. Can you tie those two together?
Scientifically speaking, ashwagandha has the most KSM 6.6, has the best research on it for higher, like upping testosterone, as far as total testosterone, right? You can use like Tongkat Ali, which brings your sex hormone binding globulin down because testosterone is carried by this, right? So if you get less of that, you have more free testosterone, because testosterone, we didn't really even get into this, is not a peptide. It's a steroid hormone. It's fat. So it can actually slide through your cells and it goes into your nucleus to do things. Where peptide hormones can do either. Sometimes they sit on the outside of the cell. Sometimes they go in, most of the time on the outside. So if I had to pick one, ashwagandha has the most research, and I've seen it bump guys up 200, 300 points. The issue is that with ashwagandha, I very often, and please comment, I guarantee it, there's a guy here that's took an ashwagandha is like, yeah, I felt terrible. Like my testosterone went up, but I felt like anhedonia is usually the term. Like they don't feel motivated. They have no energy. But from a scientific perspective, if I could pick like two, and someone even like yeah, Tongkat, ashwagandha are probably the best to like get your free testosterone up if you can handle it, I guess. The other thing I would put in there is L-carnitine. L-carnitine helps increase your androgen receptor sensitivity, so it makes your testosterone more potent. Similar, not really to the point of a SARM, but then L-carnitine also helps your mitochondria. That's another supplement that I really like. And then fenugreek's on there, Adosia fragressus, and like, there's a couple other out there. Huberman talked about several of those for a long time. And then natural test is things every guy here knows. Get your 8 hours of sleep. Don't eat a ton of sugar. Mental health, exercise, the things that will crush your, like there's a study showing like drinking 60 grams of sugar crushes your testosterone by like 30% in the next hour.
Really?
Because you release a ton of insulin, brings your sugar down, you bottom, you crash, and then your body releases cortisol to bring you up, and then cortisol shuts your test off. And that's why exercise will usually actually turn your test down just briefly in the time that you're exercising. Your cortisol goes up, which is good. You need that. Cortisol is not evil. It's like estrogen. You need it in a good place.
Right.
So
Keenan asked, will the video be replayable if I sign up for the website? Yes, it will be, Keenan. So all of our private Q&As are recorded, so members who missed the meeting can actually rewatch it later. So yeah, that is included. Most of our think tanks, except for the free-flowing conversations, those conversations go into wild places. So we do not record those. But any topic themed think tank we do, like we did one on Christian apologetics, we did one on the Gospel of John, we did one on women, Schopenhauer, and Orthodox theology. Those are all recorded. And then the Q&A with Father Gabriel is recorded. And then the one we'll be doing here in just a few moments with Dr. Moeller are also recorded. So anybody who signs up, you can always watch the replays. They're in the classroom section. There's a playlist for them. All right, last question here. And before we ask it, I want to just catch up on a couple generous super chats over on Dono Chat. Timothy throws in $40 and says, thank you, doctors. My friend has an undiagnosed GI condition. Specialist appointments take forever in La Canada. Hopefully this peptide information can help.
Yeah, not medical advice, but you'd be surprised. It's like, what's it going to hurt to throw $150 peptide at it? And I really like they have the ultimate GI repair. We didn't get into other gut health. Glutamine's really good. And then zinc carnosine is actually really good for the gut. Glutamine people use for weightlifting. So that's another one. Like any guy can take an extra 5 or 10 grams of glutamine. Creatine, right? It's good for your mitochondria.
Yeah.
Those are some low-hanging fruits
I
too.
take creatine pretty regularly. And then the next one was Nathaniel. God bless you, brother. God bless you, Timothy. Also, thank you very much for that generous super chat. And Nathaniel throws in $33 and says, it is fantastic to get this information from an Orthodox Christian. Very informative. I know who I'll be calling if I'm in need. Thank you both. Well, thank you, Nathaniel. And yes, anybody, if you, especially the men, I mean, Dr. Mo's a men's health specialist. So any men out there that are watching this, maybe you're not here in the live stream, you're watching this maybe a week later, and you want to talk with Dr. Mo, go to his, what is your website? How do people get a hold? Just drmichaelmoeller.com?
Yep, Dr. Michael Moeller from I want to do a Derek intimidation. You know, hey, Dr. Michael Moeller from drmichaelmoeller.com. Today we're going to talk about super physiological levels of BPC 157. That's it, though. drmichaelmoeller.com.
Excellent. Yeah, okay, last question here. I'm sorry, guys. We got to cut it off for the free side. It says, any thoughts, DPH, any thoughts on sprints boosting HGH? What's your perspective on that?
Yes, you, dude. I don't know.
You're the doc. You're the medical doc.
He said DPH. He's asking
I'm a
you,
PhD.
bro.
You're a naturopathic doctor. You actually deal with medicine. So I think the DPH was just to get my attention. The question following is for you, my man.
Yeah, I'd say from a scientific perspective, there is less scientific evidence. It would make sense to me that it would increase your growth hormone. Your growth hormone does go up when you're fasted. Goes up first hour of sleep when you're fasted and post workout. So you'll definitely get I would assume you'd definitely get an HGH boost pretty post workout. There are good studies showing HIIT training for TRT or for increasing testosterone.
Right. I've seen that regarding, sprinting and maintaining like muscle density and actual, like a lot of bodybuilding type fitness guys are getting into sprinting for the health benefits.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I try and run sprint. I'm a cardio kind of guy. I'd really try.
I hate cardio. I always say I'm like a dog. Somebody's got to throw a ball out for me to start running. Football, basketball, baseball, soccer ball. Then all of a sudden I'll start running around, but it's hard for me to motivate myself to run.
Always chasing the balls, aren't you?
Guilty as charged. I thought this was pretty funny. Jacob said, Dr. Mike from More Peps, More Reps.
There we go. Dr. Michael Moeller from drmichaelmoeller.com. Today we're going to be talking about more peps, more reps.
All right, last one here. Guy, our man 3059 throws in 5, says, any advice on sermorelin or something that activates your own growth hormones and any reputable sources?
Yeah, most people pronounce it Sermorelin, usually Sermorelin. So Sermorelin, you have 2 receptors on your brain. Ghrelin, which makes you think like your stomach is growling, which is your hunger, goes up, and that releases growth hormone. And then you have one called the growth hormone releasing hormone. Sermorelin hits the growth hormone releasing hormone receptor. It was the most popular for a long time. It wasn't on the list. It's technically, I believe, a large molecule. It's not a peptide. So when the FDA came out and said it named ampamorelin, it didn't name tesamorelin. So most compounding pharmacies, you can still get Sermorelin from. Like you can get that from a pharmacist. That's the way I would go. I'm a doctor. I'm not going to tell you to go get a research purposes only peptide. The thing with Sermorelin, though, is there is a little bit of side effects with prolactin, thyroid, and cortisol. Sermorelin's kind of the first generation, and then second generation, you have one called CJC 1295 and another one called tesamorelin. Tesamorelin actually comes from an FDA-approved drug called Egrifta, and it will boost your IGF-1 50 to 75%. It's up there with actual exogenous growth hormone. The issue is if you get that from a pharmacist, like you're looking at like $1,000 a month. At that point, it's like you might as well be on actual growth hormone. But there's an argument to be made that the growth hormone peptides help you release it more naturally. Now, in my clinical practice, first thing I do when guys come in, I don't like throwing guys on 10 things. I'm literally like, bro, let's just get your testosterone figured out first. I rule out thyroid, prolactin, all this other stuff. 3 to 6 months in, we usually work on then optimizing growth hormone with growth hormone peptides. So Morlin works. It's good for the price point. There's some side effects. Like most people are moving to tesamorelin. If I had to say.
Okay. And final one that just got sent in comes from Anonymous, sends in a generous $33 over on the Streamlabs. Thank you so much, Anonymous. He says, what about beef organ supplements? Heart and Soil by Paul Saladino has a beef testicle supplement. Could that be beef or hormonal health and testosterone?
Yeah. So the way you want to think about, you're trying to put on muscle. What do you eat? You eat muscle, right? So like if you want to build chest, you eat breast, and it's not like a chicken breast. It's not. Chicken breasts have the amino acids in them to build breast tissue, especially muscle, not like boobs. You know what I'm saying? But the same thing, you eat chicken thighs, you eat a ribeye, right? You're eating the muscle because it has the amino acids that you need to build muscle. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Right? Like glutamine, your branch chain, like we eat mostly when we're eating animal meat, they're higher in the essentials, like plant proteins often have poorer amino acid profiles. Like they don't have the amino acids that we want to build muscle. They have amino acids, but there might be, like, for instance, people do collagen protein. Those help build collagen, your skin, your tendons, and ligaments, right? You want to build muscle, I'd say you're better off with usually like a whey protein because it has higher branch chain amino acids in them. So the similar idea then can be with eating organ meats. Like there's if you're eating heart, you're going to be eating things that help build heart tissue. I think they go as far, and I haven't looked at this stuff in a while, but like CoQ10 is an antioxidant for your heart. There's some of that in heart tissue, depending on if it's cooked and how much. Same thing with your liver. Your liver stores B vitamins. So when you're eating liver, you're getting B vitamins more so than would be in like a chicken thigh. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, if I'm like, hey, I want to get my B vitamins up, I'd say, well, first off, you have to eat usually some form of animal meat. Like you're not going to get B12 from lettuce. So chicken thighs, but then even better would be liver, right? But you could eat 5 times as much you could eat 5 times as much chicken thighs to get the same amount in liver. I'm not an organ meat guy. I'm too much of a wuss, man. I try to eat liver, man. It's just, bro. I'm no primal.
So do you so are you a fan of some of the beef organ supplements? That's something my wife's been trying to get me into, is taking the beef. She bought one, but it's like you take 6 pills a day. I was blown away by how many pills you had to take. I was like, God, that's like a meal.
And for the price point, those are like what, $60-$70 a bottle.
Yeah.
And you get like 20-30 servings. I'd say if you really, and look, everyone spends their money differently. At the same point, like go and buy some beef liver. You know what I mean? It's just the capsules are easier, so for eating organ meats or whatnot. Because things have to be doable. You know what I mean? Kind of like I told you, I can tell you to go work out every day, but you're not going to go do it. Right. Like that's 90% of medicine is not like having the right formula, it's doing it. So if the capsules help you eat more organ meats, I think organ meats are a positive. I don't know, like, for the price point or whatever, but I spend.
All right, guys, we are past our time. We have to cut it short over here on YouTube. So if you want to join the private Q&A over at the Logos Academy, use this link right here. Dr. Mo and I are we're going to end this and we're going to head over to the Zoom meeting where some of the members are already probably waiting. So if you want to join, we'll see you over there. If not, thank you so much for everybody who supported today. Thank you guys for being here. And I will see you guys Sunday. Actually, I'm doing a stream with FDA. We'll be doing a stream on the state of modern philosophy. So it's going to be a sort of all-encompassing philosophical stream, very academic oriented. That's going to be Sunday. And then I'll be doing a sponsored stream on the theology of no self the Anatman of Buddhism, and some contemporary people Monday. And then I'll actually be with Anthony of Westgate Tuesday over on his stuff to record an episode. So I will see you guys Sunday and Monday. Thank you all for being here, and God bless you all. As always, until next time, God bless.